Life is suffering. Trauma in this world is inevitable. So what you have to ask yourself is, what do you do next when that inevitable trauma throws your life into chaos? My guest today had to make that decision back in 2008 when she was brutally gang raped. She made a decision that she was going to use this experience to benefit the lives of as many people as possible who have to, unfortunately, have had to go through the same thing. This was a truly inspirational episode, something that I encourage you all, if you have the means, to get on board and to support this initiative and the Jes Foord Foundation in whatever capacity you can. There's something that we can all learn from this, and this is truly, truly inspirational. As always, like, share, subscribe, and most of all, enjoy. Jes Foord, thank you very much for being here. I'm glad that we can make this work and then we could find a time. Before I give you an opportunity to say anything, I would like to take a moment to say that what you've done over the last 15 years or so has been nothing short of admirable.
Thanks.
And it's beyond belief, actually, what you've been able to do.
Oh, shame. Thank you.
So, it's an absolute honor to have you on.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So, Jess, for people that don't know your story, can you share it with me? Take me back to the beginning.
Cool. So it was in 2008 on the 2nd of March. And my dad and I went for a walk at a small dam in the Hillcrest area. And we passed these 5 men on the way to the dam, and they waved at us. We waved back, didn't think anything else of it. When we got to the dam, we offloaded the dogs, started throwing sticks in the water. You know, the dogs were running around. It was just chilled family fun. And I just remember this screaming and shouting coming from behind me, and I turned around to be met by the barrel of a gun in my face. And I think that image will be with me for the rest of my life. And I remember just putting my hands in the air and saying to them, take what you want. And I thought, could that be more stereotypical? But they took my cell phone, they took my dad's cell phone, they took all the jewelry I'd been given for my 21st the year before. They then asked us for money. We didn't have any money on us, so they asked for the keys to the bakkie. Straight away, my dad gave them the keys, and they said to us, follow us up to where the bakkie is. So we followed them. They then threw my dad in the back and put me in the passenger seat, and they tried over and over to get the car started. They kept stalling. They couldn't find the right gears. My dad even at one point offered to start it for them, and after many failed attempts, they then pushed me out of the bakkie and grabbed my dad and threw him out, and they said to us, just go. And this feeling of, I suppose, relief came over us. That's what it feels like to be hijacked. That's what it feels like to be robbed. You always hear of these things happening, but you never think it's going to happen to you. And we just started walking. We didn't know where we were going. We just thought we need to walk away from them. And they then unfortunately came up behind us again. And they were a lot more violent this time, a lot more aggressive. And they started pushing us. And we realized they were actually pushing us towards a ditch. So it's 2 smaller dams with an overflow in the middle that's created this ditch. And it's about 3 meters high. We got to the edge of the ditch. They threw my dad in first. They then threw me in. And they then climbed their way down and met us at the bottom of the ditch, where they took my dad to one side, where they tied his hands to his legs to a tree. They then took his little fishing hat off his head and shoved it down his throat with a knife. They then turned to me. They pulled my panties to my knees. They pushed me down, and the first one climbed on. Then the second one climbed on. Then the third one climbed on, and then the fourth one climbed on. And you often hear of these people talking about out-of-body experiences. and you maybe picture them floating in the sky, But it was honestly like I'd had some sort of out-of-body experience. They were asking me to cooperate with them, to move backwards and forwards. I was paralyzed. It was as if my body was not my own. My mind had taken me to all sorts of different places. I remember looking up and seeing my puppy leaning over the top of the ditch, and I'm thinking, okay, if the puppy falls, where's it going to fall? Will I be able to get to it? Will they hurt it? It's just the strangest things your mind takes you to, and I've since learned it's obviously dissociation, your body protecting itself. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience.
You talk about disassociation. What is that?
So when your body is in a traumatic event, you will, different people have flight, fright, all of those sorts of things. And one of the main things is sort of to protect itself from what is happening, it'll take you somewhere else. So instead of me focusing on what they were doing, I was focusing on the puppy, or, how are we going to get out of here? Will they kill us? Will people find us? How long will it be before they find us? So it's just sort of the way your mind takes you away from what is physically happening to you.
What happened after that?
So when they were busy with me, the one guy went up to where the bakkie was parked, and he again tried to get it started and managed this time to get it going. And I just remember him calling them. They weren't speaking English, so I assume they were calling them. And they then all said something amongst themselves, and they climbed out the ditch. And we then heard the bakkie leaving. And we sort of automatically went into, I don't know if you'd call it survival mode, but straight away we were like, okay, well, where are the dogs? What are we going to use? They've taken the bakkie. The leads were in there. And I was obviously naked from the waist down, so it was like this embarrassing scramble to find my shorts, couldn't find my panties, put my shorts back on, and then we managed to climb out of the ditch. And that whole experience from when they left to when we got out of the ditch felt like hours. But when we eventually got back and were met by the police and everything, I think it had only been like 45 minutes from when we had arrived to the dam. And it felt like hours. But we climbed out of the ditch, and there were two ladies walking their horses past. And obviously they were a bit startled at first, but we managed to explain what had happened, and they gave us the reins to their horses to get all the dogs together, and they then phoned ahead. And by the time we got back to the, I can't say what it's called, when we got back to the place near the dam, there were... A social worker was waiting for me, the police were waiting for me, the dog unit were there and ready. While they were questioning me, they took my dad back to where it had happened, and they managed to pick up a scent from where the bakkie was, and they managed to chase the bakkie. They then found the bakkie. It was about 1 kilometer down the road. They'd driven it into a tree. The dogs, fortunately enough, were able to pick up a scent from there, and they chased them for 16 hours until they caught all 5 of them.
So they caught all five of them.
Yeah, the dog unit were unbelievable. They were actually carried out on stretchers from dehydration, the dog unit, because they chased that scent for 16 hours.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, incredible.
Where did they end up finding them?
2 of them were found in the Shongweni Valley, and the other 3 were somewhere else. I can't quite remember, but they were found... because the other 3 were found because they were playing a game of pool, and they were bragging and showing photos on my phone that they had stolen of this, what they had done to this girl and her dad. And then through informers, they managed to find the other 3.
Do you want a tissue? Eh?
Oh, sorry.
Can I have a tissue, please?
Yeah. Sorry, I talk about this all day, every day, so it's, yeah.
Come.
Sorry. It's okay, I normally am. Just not around this, because it's...
She's also pregnant, so it doesn't
Oh,
help.
congratulations! Oh, that's so exciting. How far?
3 months to go.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, you're tiny. Boy, girl, don't know?
Now we're going to wait.
Oh, I did that. I waited.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
And was it worth it? Like the wait?
Yes. No, it was. It was.
So
Because
like
it makes all of that stress and pain and everything worthwhile.
Does it?
Yeah. Not for you. No one cares about you. It's
No,
about her.
no, absolutely. And I don't even, yeah, that doesn't, shame, she's still going.
It's okay.
So on your website, there's a quote that says, "You have taken my body, but you will never take me."
Yeah.
And I looked at that for a couple of minutes, actually, because it's so profound. I'm in a battle to get through to this interview. I can just...
It's okay.
But it's fine. There's a lovely book, it's actually next to you there, Man's Search for Meaning. And in that book, that was from a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, wow.
And he speaks about, and he was a psychologist, Viktor Frankl. And he said in his book, in some way, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. And that is like, you take that and you copy paste it to what the essence of what you have on your website. And it's just such a beautiful thing because you had a decision to make at that point. What were you going to do with your life after that? And then the Jes Foord Foundation came about. So how did that happen? How did it start? What went through your mind as you took stock of what had happened?
So after this whole experience, my dad, my whole family, we've lived in the Upper Highway area, like from birth. And my dad worked in the local photo shop, then the local paint shop. So everybody knew him, like he's a people guy. And as soon as word had got out as to what had happened to us, the entire community just rallied together. It was unbelievable. And I think within like, not even a week, I think it was like 72 hours or something, there was 80,000 rand that had been raised. And we were like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do with this? They said, use it for medical bills, use it for counseling, use it for a family holiday, do whatever. I said, no, I've got medical aid, like I don't. So a trust was then formed. I said, please, I do not want this money in my bank account. Like, I want it to go to the right places. And a trust was formed. And then from what I experienced afterwards with district surgeons and police stations, and I immediately just, thought, considering how lucky I am in that I had a medical aid, I had my family supporting me, I had so much, and then to hear the statistics of how often this is happening, and to think how many people are going through this alone, it freaked me out, and I just said, I have to do something to be that person for the people who have no one. And that's where the concept of the foundation was started. I found out you had to have a board, and I mean, I'm not the most office structured person. I'm a arty-farty, as people say.
Yes.
So I didn't know anything about anything. Found out I needed a board, so got a lot of family and friends that I trusted, and obviously a few professionals. We had a lawyer, we had an accountant, and put together this board. We registered the company, or the foundation, NPO, and it's just grown from like strength to strength. And I was actually talking about it the other day, that I've never had to go out and find an employee, and I don't like to call them employees, we're all family. Everybody has just come at the right time without actually having to ever put out an advert or put out anything. Like, they've just come at the right times, and also financially at the right times. Just everything has fallen into place, and slowly all of these incredible people that have joined the Jes Foord family have come with special skills which have helped us develop different programs. For example, the one that is absolutely closest to my heart and my most special one is our mentorship program, where we have taken 40 young boys. We do it every year. We work with Johnson's Workwear, and every year we run this program for 6 months, where we take 10 boys from 4 different communities, and we have mentors that live in those communities with them, who have come from nothing and built themselves up. And we work with these boys covering different topics like sexuality, drugs and alcohol, consent, being a good person, and, taking care of your family, and that what it actually means to be a man. To be a man, you can still wash the dishes, you can still hang up the washing, all these sorts of things. You can still help, and just hopefully creating these wholesome young boys, and then we take all 40 of them together in January, beginning of January, and we do a 4-day camp with them, where we take those 10 boys from the 4 different areas and put them together and put them in a whole new 4 groups where we like split them, like school days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they share their different experiences of what they've learned and what was the biggest challenge in their community. And I think the biggest thing for me is that these 40 young boys have been specifically chosen by their mentor because they have leadership qualities. Now, we don't go into schools and ask for prefects. We go in and we say, right, who's persuading people to go and smoke behind the hall? Who is maybe not got a father figure and is maybe on the wrong side of the tracks? We want those boys because we know they've got the influence, but maybe they're not using it the right way at the moment, but they've got potential. And the results have been unbelievable. One of our mentors is actually one of our first mentees. So he was part of our first group, and he's now a mentor. He does the Embo area, and it's just my biggest passion lies with that project. I think it's, again, for me, I feel we are living in a country that is teaching people not to be raped instead of teaching them not to do it in the first place. And I very carefully say people, because it's not just men on women. It's children, it's men, it's everybody is affected by this, and everybody is capable of doing it. So it's not a case of teaching men how not to rape women. It's people against people. And for me, I just think that's so important is prevention and awareness. We go into schools, we try and do a minimum of 3 educational talks a week where we go into schools or communities and educate them on where to go, what to do, how to prevent it, what to look out for. Teaching little children as young as 5 on good touch, bad touch, naming the behavior. We find that is such an important thing, is these kids are groomed, and so many people think it's a whole stranger danger. My kids know about stranger danger. It's not. 78% of rapes are the perpetrator is known to the victim. So
wow.
it's a family member, it's an uncle, it's a neighbor, and it doesn't just happen, in the bottom of KwaMashu. It's happening everywhere. It's happening in affluent areas. It's happening across all races, across all religions. There is no label when it comes to that. It's everywhere, and these kids need to be educated. So when they get groomed, it's a case of, Uncle Bob will come and sit next to them and touch their leg and then, see how they react. And even though we teach them that if you've got an ugly feeling in your tummy, you say, Uncle Bob, don't touch my leg. Because in a grooming situation, you'll see a child and you'll touch their leg and they'll say, don't touch my leg. You're less likely to take it forward because you think, well, if they're prepared to shout out, don't touch my leg, where's this going to go? And we just teach them about. So a lot of people, we've actually had to put on our information flyer, not the birds and bees. Because so many schools will say, no, we can't have that talk because, we don't want to be teaching such young children about sex. We say we're not teaching them about sex. We're teaching them about consent. We're teaching them about the importance of the privacy of their own body. And even at the age of 5, we're saying to them, right, can you hold a sponge in your hand? Yes, you can. Well, then your privates are your privates. You wash them. Mommy and daddy can wash you anywhere else, but you must wash your own privates. And it's just helping them to take charge and give them that information that maybe they didn't know before.
And empower them.
Yes, exactly. Because it makes them feel, proud of themselves. And I know this is my body. And my own kids, sometimes I regret saying some things to them because they throw it back at me all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me just quickly change your pants for you or something, when they were younger. No, it's my private place. I'll put my own pants on. And they're backwards and there's 2 legs through one hole. And you're like, okay, it's fine. We'll take this slowly.
I love what you said earlier, going back to what you said about the Jes Foord family and how everything seems to arrive at the right time. And it's amazing how that tends to happen when somebody's aligned with their purpose. And the universe, whatever people would like to label it or believe in, God, etc., when you're aligned with your purpose and you feel like you're doing what is meaningful, that's when things start to align. And that's when all of these things that seem like coincidences, divine timing, divine intervention starts to fall into place. So that's an amazing little bit of insight.
Yeah.
So That's flipping unbelievable.
That's one of my main things. You can ask anybody that knows me well enough is I'm all about everything for a reason, and everything happens for a reason, and everything happens at the right time. And they all say, yes, Jessica. And I'm like, no, but it is. And like you say, with the passion and there's nobody at our organization who's there for the money, first of all, let me tell you. And secondly, for lack of passion. Everybody that is there goes way above and beyond what they need to do. They come in to do one thing and end up doing 50 things. It's just, I think we're quite addictive. Once you meet the team, you like sort of find yourself coming back for more. It's so rewarding to be able to know that even though you're working with such a depressing topic, to know that you are able to change lives, even if it's in the most tiny way, it's so rewarding, and it makes it feel like you said earlier, everything, for a reason. And strangely enough, your Ikigai book there, I went to a talk on Women's Day, and there was a lady giving a talk there, and she did the whole explanation and the breathing and the everything, and then she said, again, everything happens for a reason. And she pointed me out because I had spoken before her. And she said, Jess, if you could go back in time, would you change anything? And I just looked at her and I said, no, not a chance. Like, I would not be here today. I would not be able to have helped the people that we have been able to help if I hadn't been through that. It was actually said to me once, and the person immediately freaked out, and they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that, but I've never been able to put it in better words, is that on that day I was given a degree in rape. Like, I know the emotions, I know the feelings, I know the processes, I know the court, I know, there's no other way to know that firsthand than to actually go through it. And even though I'm not saying it was a wonderful day, it's enabled me to be where I am today. And I'm sure with many of the people you've spoken to, I'm sure they've said the same thing with things that have happened to them throughout their life. Everything for a reason.
Yeah. When you look back, 15 years, the Jes Foord Foundation, more or less, eh?
Yeah.
When you look back and you look at the team that you've got around you now, how proud does that make you feel?
I promise you now I'm going to get emotional. I said I wouldn't.
I'm trying to make you cry, so we're trying to balance the books here.
They literally are family. Like, it sounds so cliche and so stupid, but they're the people I turn to. They are there no matter what. They support you. I mean, Tiff, for example, is our media lady, and she drove here with me today. Like, it's got nothing to do with her, but I mean, it's not like, but she's there. She's supporting. Like, everybody it's one big family. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, they are incredible people. Their passion is unbelievable. To see them in action, especially like the counselors or our awareness coordinators, is just, like, I actually have to sit back sometimes and go, this is real. This isn't a dream. This is like, we are helping people. Like, it's taken me a long time to get to that point. I've always sort of gone, no, it's nothing. It's like, but this last year and what we hope to achieve before the end of the year, I had to actually sit back and go, holy poo, this is real. This is a big thing. This is like quite impressive. Yeah. Like, the people we've been able to help and the foundation, the way it's grown. It's been a journey, but wow, what an incredible one.
Did you think that it would get this big?
No, definitely not. I mean, when we started with that little 80,000 Rand
donation?
Well, it was like a whole bunch from lots of different people that put into this bank account.
Yes.
And to just see what we've theoretically done with that 80,000 Rand is incredible. And donors come when they needed. Everything just works, except when it doesn't.
Yeah. But that's life, eh?
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah, we have our ups, we have our downs, but all in all, it's just it has been an incredible journey, and it's been amazing to have so many people by my side who have the same passion and the same goal. And we laugh about it. People say to me, what is your dream for the future? And I say, to not be needed. You
That's
know,
very powerful.
I want to work myself out of a job. One day I want to close my doors. I want to close the doors and say, you are not needed.
Job done.
Job done. Mic drop. Yeah.
How many people have you reached or helped? Do you have a number? How many people?
Tiff
kids
has a
you've
number,
addressed?
maybe.
So I did the research. I don't know when this was last updated, but that's at 464,247, and I would imagine would have been a few years ago.
Yeah.
So just to put into perspective for the listeners, we're talking like well over 500,000.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we do awareness talks, majority of the time in the communities, we're speaking to 1,000 kids at a time, and we're doing 3 a week. And that's obviously, those numbers are not taking into account the radio interviews, the TV interviews, podcasts, that sort of stuff, because you can't really measure that. But yeah, survivors, we've done, pardon? Counseling, yeah. How many hours? 4,000 something counseling hours. And I mean, we didn't start all of this on day one. Like, everything slowly started happening. Like the mentorship, we've only been running for, this will be our 6th year.
Yes.
So like every year a new project comes up. Another one of our big projects is our handbag project.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Sorry, I'm stealing all your moments.
No, it's making my job very easy.
The handbag project was born because I, for some reason, did not want to go home and shower afterwards. It was just the thought of all that negative energy, all that negativity being washed off in my own personal space. I didn't like that idea. And my mom then took me to a friend of hers. And when I arrived there, she had popped off to Woolies, and she had got me a new set of panties, and she had got me shampoo and soap and all body lotions and everything. And it just meant so much to me to climb into the shower, have a brand new body lotion, brand new body wash, brand new shampoo, get out, put on a nice clean pair of panties, and just, I always likened it to being able to start the journey of getting clean on the outside so that you can focus on getting clean on the inside. And again, hearing all the statistics and hearing how often it happens, to think that there are so many people out there who will use the same bar of soap to wash their dishes, their clothes, their body, everything gets washed with that one bar of soap. And we thought, no, this cannot be happening. So the handbag project was born, where we take second-hand or new handbags, obviously in perfect condition. We fill them with all sorts of toiletries, as well as we run our kiddie pack program, where we have little drawstring bags, and we put coloring in books, pencils, pens, and the most important thing for me in the kiddie pack is the teddy. And it's amazing to see when kids come back for counseling, that teddy is always with them. Like, it's
Really?
just so important to them. And I think it's that sense of maybe they couldn't be protected, so they want to protect that teddy. And yeah, these bags, unfortunately, we give out 400 a month, which is like a quarter of what's needed. But 60% of those bags are children under the age of 12, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Especially as a parent and soon-to-be parent, like, it just, like, you couldn't think of anything worse happening to your child. And to think that 60% of these packs are going to children, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And you find ladies will come in, men, we've had schoolboys that come in and do a packing day with us, where they pack the bags, and they say, to read the list is sad, but to actually pack these bags and know when you put that teddy in, the next person to touch that teddy will be a child who's been abused. They said it's just like a whole different ball game. Like, it just makes it real. And I think for us doing it all day, every day, we kind of forget how, I don't even know the word, how intense it is. For other people to come in and realize what is going on a daily basis.
I think it has to be like that. You know, if you're in the moment and you take a look and you are aware of the magnitude of what you're doing, I don't think you can cope emotionally and mentally with that.
When I had my kids, I think they must have been about 3 or 4. I actually had to take 6 months off. it was just too much for me, this like over compensating on protecting them, and like I literally had those things around their wrist, like the boogie board strings with the metal in them that was like on them, triple wrapped around them, on me, in the trolley, like holding the trolley. Like I got obsessed with like protecting these kids, and like it got out of hand, and my counselor just said to me, you need to step back. You can't actually, you need to realize like everything is fine. So I did. I took a long break, and now, I mean, my kids will tell you the complete opposite, but I think I've got it, you know, I've got it under handle, and I'm coping fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, it is something you need to sort of not dissociate from, but step back sometimes. And we have a little thing in the office where we have a thing called a duvet day.
Okay.
So at any point and any time, anybody is allowed to phone, message, WhatsApp, anything, and just say duvet day. Because we know it is so taxing doing what we're doing, and sometimes you actually just need a day to stay at home and feel sorry for yourself, lie in bed, have a cry, why me, all of the things, and then get up the next day and say, right, let's start fresh. Yeah.
As inspiring as your journey over the last few years has been, taking that weight on, taking that responsibility of saying, this is what I'm going to do with my life, must also come at a cost. Everything comes at a cost, right?
Yeah.
So are there times when it becomes quite emotionally draining?
So I think one of the hardest things for me, and also through extensive counseling, I've obviously learned to deal with it, is I had this sort of need to always be perfect. Like I felt everybody's looking at me, and if I have a duvet day, they're going to be like, everyone else is going to fall apart. Like so many people were writing to me or meeting me and saying, thanks to you, I have been able to, or seeing how strong you are, I have been able to, you know. And then there's that immense responsibility that if they see me freaking out, or if I take 6 months off work, everyone's going to think that I'm falling apart, and it's going to ruin it for everybody else, and then will the foundation have to close? And there was that huge pressure in that sense. But I have since worked on that, and now I'm a human. I'm allowed to have duvet days, and it's helped me to like relax a lot more and realize I am also human. And I think it's helped other people as well, because when I chat to other survivors, they'll sort of say to me, how do you do it? You're always so positive. And I say, I'm not. I am not. I have down days. I have why me days. I have why am I even doing this days? Am I making a difference? Is it worth it? I have all those thoughts. It's normal. Like, I scream at my children. I fight with my husband. Like, I'm a human being. I'm normal. I'm the same as all of you. Yeah, I just want people to know that it is okay to have a bad day. It is okay to want to give up, but just don't.
Yeah, I think that's also what makes you relatable, is you have to portray what is reality. You know, the Jes Foord Foundation is painting a picture of reality. It's coming with the cold, hard facts. This is what happens in this country with rape, as uncomfortable as it is to talk about it, but then you have to apply that same thing to yourself as well, to say, I'm allowed to be fragile. Yeah. I'm allowed to have fragile days. I'm allowed to self-doubt. I'm allowed to do all those things, and I do. And then that makes you far more relatable in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how we have to continue to go on these journeys. We never stop learning.
Yeah.
You know? And it's important to continually forgive yourself, number one, because we're all going to continue to make mistakes. But number two, continue to then try and improve on an ongoing basis. Yeah. So talking about improvement, what's the biggest thing that you've noticed with that mentorship program about young men in this country?
Ironically, I think the young men in this country are our biggest, what's the word?
Asset?
No. Like advocates, I don't know if that's the right word.
Like,
they are especially the younger men. They're like, we need to make a change. We need to do something. everyone sort of says, oh, the young men of this country, there's no hope for the future. They are the hope for the future. I promise you, when you meet these boys on the ground, in their communities, it's unbelievable to see the way they want to support the gogos, the way they want to look after the girls. Like, it's unbelievable. They are our biggest, can't think of the word. What is the word? Advocates. Yeah, they just...
For change.
Yes. And to see that firsthand, especially with these young boys, they'll come in and the first time they're there, they're all like, oh, they're so cool and whatever, you can't teach me anything. And by the end of it, they're like passionate and they've got these plans to run this program and do that. And some of them have done veggie gardens. Some of them have sorted out a gogo's house. One of the most incredible ones was in the Hammersdale community. They identified an old man, who was living in a house, and he couldn't fetch his grant or anything, so his son was fetching it for him, but his son worked, and this man was literally lying in a rotten mattress in his own feces. These boys raised enough funds to redo that entire house, get him a proper flushing toilet and somebody to look after him, and they took his son and educated his son on what needs to be done and how to take care of him, and this was the boys.
From your program?
From the program. Those 10 boys from the Hammersdale area, that's what they did. And it was just unbelievable to see these boys do something like that. Like, it's unheard of. Like, what boys do we know that would actually go out, find a guy who's lying in his own feces, clean him up, clean the house up, scrub the floors, literally on the floor, scrubbing them, raise the funds to get a flushing toilet for him. Like, it was just mind-blowing.
So how did you find out about that story? Did they go and relay that?
Yes, so they then, obviously
mentor?
Their mentor was involved and got us involved, but it was solely their idea. They identified the guy and they said what they wanted to do with him. And it was just, obviously we were 100% behind it, but... And they do lots of these little programs. I think it was 2 years ago in Mulweni, they started a feeding, like a garden for the community where people could go in and they got the soil ready, and then they started growing spinach, and then they started selling spinach to buy more seeds, and it's like a whole process of teaching them about life. And it's just, I just have a soft spot for young boys, I think. There's so much hope for them,
That's amazing. Because it could easily have gone the other way.
Yeah.
You
and
could have
I
built
think
up
that's
resentment.
how so many people, and I think that's again another issue in our society, is this whole all men are bad. And they're not. There are so many good men out there. There are so many men wanting to make change, wanting to protect. And there's just everyone's being labeled.
Men are under fire at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Very.
And it doesn't serve anybody, actually.
No.
It's to everybody's detriment.
Exactly.
So that's a fantastic example of what should be done. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
What's a question you get asked the most? Because I try and ask questions that
don't get asked. The usual first two questions when I do a talk is, where were the dogs and how is your dad?
Yeah.
Those are the first two. Dogs were around us the whole time. My dad is doing absolutely great. He's the handyman at the foundation. He services the cars, fixes the shelves. He also went for extensive counseling. I think that's also something very important, is so many people focus on the victim themselves, whereas you forget that even though my dad was there, it still affected my mom, it still affected my brother, it still affected my friends. And that's another thing we offer at the foundation, is we will not just supply counseling for the victim themselves. We will also, bring in family, bring in boyfriends, bring in husbands, bring in kids, whatever's needed, because to create a whole healing environment, everybody has to be on the same path.
In the unfortunate circumstance that somebody does get raped, what should they do?
So at the moment, the biggest thing is getting there within 4 hours. It is advertised that you have 72 hours to get to a Thuthuzela Centre. You have 4 hours if you want that DNA to be viable. So at Thuthuzela Centre, there are almost one at every government hospital in the area. There is a list of them on our website. And as much as you want to go to your private hospital, as much as you want to go to your own GP, they are going to turn you away. They are going to send you to a Thuthuzela Centre. They are trained in doing the rape collection kits. They are trained at testifying in court. Even if you pay your own gynae R1 million, he's not going to sit in court with you. The trauma surgeons are not going to come and testify for you. The best place to go is a Thuthuzela Centre. They'll take your statement there. They'll give you all the medication that is needed, and the rape kit is done there in the Thuthuzela Centre. If you have any issues when you get there, please contact us. We have an emergency line. It is a new WhatsApp line. It is on our website. A lot of times there's issues when you arrive there, so contact us. We will get the right people and help you through this process.
Interesting. I'll attach that in the show notes as well, so everything will be there. Domestic violence. One of the aspects of domestic violence that doesn't get spoken about very often is emotional abuse.
Yeah.
What can you say? What can you say about that? Because that's often overlooked, and I think because it becomes very confusing.
Yeah.
You know. So how does a person, one, in your opinion, decipher whether or not they're subject to emotional abuse or are in an abusive relationship, even if it's not physically abusive?
I think for me, it's all about communication and speaking to people. So we have a thing that we do with the little kids. It's your hand of safety. Mm-hmm. And we get them to literally write down 5 people that they feel that they can talk to if they have a problem. And as much as it's for the kids, I think it's so important for everybody, is to have 5 people at any time that you can talk to. And if you are feeling that you are in a situation where you are the victim of emotional abuse, or you're not sure, contact us. That's what we're there for, is to advise you, and we're not going to judge you, or, you're free to speak. Speak to a family or a friend and say to them, this is how I feel. It's all about communicating with, not obviously the person you feel that's doing it to you, but getting it out there and being able to get the support that you need to either remove yourself from that situation or to work together to get through it, or because you're not going to be able to get through it alone. It's just, the biggest thing for me is for people to speak out and speak to somebody, to not have to go through these things alone.
Yeah. What has you excited? Let's look to the future. What's got you on fire?
So our biggest, most exciting thing at the moment is we have put in an application to buy a house.
Yes.
It is in the Hillcrest area, and it is going to be a fully encompassing centre. That's why I said with the Thuthuzela Centre is the only place you can go at the moment. We want to have forensics, we want to have DNA kits, we want to have our own district nurse, we want to have our own police force, we want to have court prep, we want to have play therapy, we want to do training for the community, we want to have a safe room for people who are in a situation where they just need to get away. It's literally going to have everything from start to finish, and we're just so excited. Tiff and I were actually talking about it when we got here a bit early, is that it's almost like people have followed me on my journey very closely. So they've sort of watched me get engaged, they've watched me get married, they've watched me have kids, and now it's time for them to watch me buy my first house.
Oh, very nice.
So I'm just so excited about it. We just need to find the money. We've put the offer in, we don't have the money, but we're trusting.
Yes.
Everything comes to those who need it, and we're just trusting that money will come, and it's so exciting. It's on the corner of Highbury and Old Main Road, next to Cafe Mayfair. Mm-hmm. That house has been there forever.
I know that house.
It's derelict at the moment. Yeah. It's literally, the windows are missing, it's falling apart, but when we went to look at it, it's got 3 different buildings, and each building is perfectly laid out for what we want to do. There will be 0 alterations on the actual structure of the building. And we are sort of looking at it as this house is a trauma victim, and we want to rebuild it and give it life again and make it into a survivor. Because so many people have said to us, buy the land, knock it down, and build something else. No. It is perfect in the way it is. It just needs a lot of paint, a new roof, but there is so much potential. And like I say, everything is just exactly where it needs to be. It's laid out perfectly. Yeah, no building changes need to be made whatsoever, and it's in the most perfect location. It's got a medical center across the road, police station like just down the road, main taxi rank right there, easily accessible. It's another thing we're going to offer is 24-hour emergency collect. So if somebody is in a community and they cannot get to anywhere, they contact us, they send us a WhatsApp, they send us a please call me, we will go and collect them from wherever they are and bring them back to the center. Because we found that is one of the biggest challenges at the moment with people we've spoken to, especially with non-reporting, is you are now a gogo, you've got 5 kids, your 1 daughter is raped. It's going to cost you 48 Rand to get to RK Khan from any of the Upper Highway communities. You've got 50 Rand for the week. Are you going to give that 48 Rand to your daughter to get to RK Khan, or are you going to use it to feed your 5 children for the week? It is a huge problem, huge. So for us to be able to offer that service that we can go and collect them, take them out of that situation, whether it be just happened or whether, like with the gogo, and she can't get her family to the safe places that are needed. Also, we want to work with we've made connection with the taxi bosses, and we want to have a structure where if somebody gets into their taxi and says, take me to the Jes Foord Foundation, they know that we will pay them on arrival. They do not take money from that person. And also sensitivity training within the community of taxi drivers, and say to them, right, this is what to look out for. If you see a woman sitting there panicked, drive her straight to us. Doesn't matter if it's something else, just drive her to us. Just to create that sense. And you'd be surprised how willing these taxi guys are. Again, everyone's like, oh, they're such bad people. They've got the biggest fight to protect women. It's amazing. So just to be able to help in any little way. Something else we want to do, which I hadn't even thought of, our new social worker, Sam, brought it up, is for a woman to be able to go for a waxing. Like, it's a very intimate thing to have done. And maybe not for me personally, but there might be a survivor out there who's too scared because she feels vulnerable. So we want to have a trained therapist from the community that is trained in sensitivity training so that they know how to deal with somebody who comes in with that situation. A safe space for somebody who wants to get their nails done but is too scared to be in a little room somewhere, or has a child but is too scared to leave their child, or we just want it to be a friendly environment. We're also going to have a coffee shop, we're going to have a shop, we're going to do veggies, like it's just going to be this amazing hub of everything. And yeah, we just, as you can see, very excited.
That's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, and it's literally come about in about 3 months. We've put all of this together.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've been looking at that house for about 2 years. So we lost our precious Trishy. I'm going to get emotional again. She passed away at the beginning of the year, and she was the mom of the foundation. She was everything. And her and I had looked at that house so many times and said that would be amazing to have that house. And she passed, and the house went up for sale. And I was like, well, if this isn't a sign, this isn't a sign. And we contacted them. They wanted ridiculous amounts of money. So we sort of wrote it off, and then we thought, hang on, we can do this. Let's make the center not just our offices. And we've grown this huge proposal. Again, everybody's come at the right place. I went to a talk. There was a lady sitting next to us who writes proposals. She's like, hey, I'll write the proposal with you. And I just feel like everything has gone really quickly, but it's so necessary. And yeah, I think it's Trishy guiding us and showing us this is the house. It's going to be the house. So we put in an offer with not a cent in our bank account. We've put in the offer, and we're just trusting that we'll get it and hopefully find the money. Otherwise, I'll be begging.
So if people want to help you get the money, where should they donate? And where can they find you?
So probably the easiest place to find us would be our website, which is jff.org.za for Jes Foord Foundation. And everything is on there. We have a donate page where people can get involved. Something that a lot of people like contributing towards is our 100 Rand a month club, where you sign up. It's a 100 Rand debit order. It comes off automatically, and it just helps us with our running costs to be able to do the counselling, to be able to put petrol in our bucket to get to the people we need to be at, to pay the awareness coordinators to do the awareness talks. So it's just, we're hoping to get up to 1,000 people donating 100 Rand a month, and then that'll cover our running costs every month, so we can focus on taking the donations and putting them into projects.
Amazing. I would really encourage anybody who's listening to do this. This is an amazing initiative.
Thank you.
And there's so many things that we can waste our money on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
That
it's 2 cups of coffee, guys.
Yeah. I think that there's a responsibility, if you've got the money, to do something productive and hand it over to people who are acting in line with their passion and are doing good in the community. So, Jess, it's absolute pleasure. This one was a doozy. But yeah, it's an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. If I can just say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for allowing us this platform to talk, because so many people don't like covering this topic. And it is such a big topic in this country. KZN has the biggest stats, and it's just something that needs to be talked about, but it's so hard because it's not a cute puppy or, and it's something that needs to be spoken about. And for you to be able to break that stigma and have us here today, we really are truly grateful. So thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Wait, whoa, before you go, did you enjoy that episode as much as I did? If you did, please go onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever medium you're using to listen and watch the show, and click subscribe, leave a comment, leave a rating, follow the show. Every little bit counts. The more people that do that, the more value I can produce to you by getting better guests on the podcast, and then we can all keep growing and learning together. Thanks so much. Have a great day.